Once, many years ago, when time was reckoned in moons, in the far-off days when all of life was at peace with nature's moods, a signal fire in the primitive language of Indian signs spoke its message of Indian summer, the leisure time of the year, spoke its message to wandering scouts who understood the meaning, who welcomed the autumn season, Indian summer, the season for peace and reflection, when teepees were pitched by quiet waters, when pulsing tom-toms wove a pattern of vibrant rhythm, a pattern for tribal dances whose mystic meanings were born in the hearts of people who loved the sky, the earth, and the waters, who loved the brilliant colors of fall, the eloquent colors that nature paused to spread on every living plant. Nature, too, brought a close to the growing season, and the fruits of the harvest were prepared for the winter days ahead. Yes, Indian summer was the time for harvest, the time for preparation. And so it is today in Missouri. Indian summer heralds a season when tranquility settles upon the land, this land of bountiful harvest. It's the season when farmers gather the foods that were grown during long summer days. The season when fruits and the grains of the field are laid by. A season of days when the crisp, clear air gives a lift to the spirits, when even the flocks of the barnyard bask in the Indian summer afternoon. Yes, it's the time of Thanksgiving. And so it was many moons ago. The Indian spoke in thanksgiving, spoke to his God, the Great Spirit. It was the time of councils and powwows, when tribal affairs were discussed. It was the time for ancient ceremonies, when the pipe of peace was offered to the four winds. It was the time for tribes to gather at the council fire in friendship and understanding. It was the time when wise leaders spoke, when they counseled their people. He left this custom of Indian summer councils, for groups today gather to listen to their leaders and to discuss in conferences the business of their organizations. They find that the autumn season in Missouri is an ideal time to meet and to enjoy the colorful settings. When the meetings are over, they enjoy leisurely hikes along Missouri's many scenic trails and discover vistas of unrivaled charm and beauty. Yes, Indian summer is the time for relaxation, the time to enjoy a quiet afternoon in the warm sun, or to seek the solitude of a flowing stream. It's the time when family groups explore the picturesque shorelines and perhaps recall some of the countless legends inspired by the lake and river country. The waters of Missouri's lakes have a beauty all their own during autumn days. The rugged native rock is worn by the water into shapes that often are fantastic. Speeding over smooth waters, a panorama of shorelines unfolds. Distant shores, aflame with nature's own colors. And mile upon mile of wooded banks that stretch in all their splendor by the clear blue waters. The Indian, in his own way, recorded this beauty, recorded the nature images he saw, chronicled the events of his life. In simple drawings, he captured the mood of Indian summer, captured the mood of his way of life. And Missouri is still a source for artistic inspiration, and Indian summer is a favorite theme with the many artists who visit Missouri in the fall, who come to sketch the natural beauty of unforgettable scenes. And for the picture album, there are many vivid settings and scenes to delight the photographer. Missouri abounds in inspiration for all who find beauty in the out of doors, who experience lasting pleasures in the sparkle of light on flowing waters. In the varied patterns of a countryside, rich in bold and elaborate hues. In the days when the valleys of Missouri echoed with the measured beat of tom-toms, echoed with the chant of songs long since forgotten, the Indian welcomed the autumn time with dances and gaiety, welcomed the autumn that offered him rest from the labors of the summer. Arrayed in his finest possessions, he gathered with his friends, and the waning days were filled with rhythm, were filled with song and music and dancing. He left this festive spirit, for during Indian summer in Missouri, fairs and celebrations are held in small towns and cities throughout the state, and it's time for play, for entertainment from the Old West. Industrial expositions to interest the country and city man alike. It's the time for dazzling parades, exciting bands, when large crowds turn out in a holiday mood. When the horses, for which Missouri is justly famous, are paraded through the streets. It's the time when beauty is queen. When businessmen join in the fun. And it's the time when Missourians pay homage to their illustrious past. All these things are easy to reach. Excellent travel facilities thread their way to all sections of the state. Over scenic routes that go deep into countrysides that are fresh and glowing with color. Countrysides that encourage a feeling of wanderlust, that challenge the adventurer. Indian summer is the uncrowded time of the year, when you can come and go as you please. There are accommodations to appeal to everyone. Rustic inns offer a quiet charm, a manner of living in keeping with the season. Larger hotels found all over the state present opportunities for luxurious living. Cottage camps nestled away in the woods. Missouri's vacation land is liberally sprinkled with delightful places to stay. And for those who go by motor car, the courteous highway patrol is alert to their needs, is ready to help, to suggest travel routes. Travel routes that flow through storied hills and valleys. As the traveler rides over fine highways that once were historic trails, he will enjoy the wealth of Missouri scenery. And he finds that Missourians are friendly, pleasant people who are glad to have him here to enjoy their Indian summer. Many beautiful little towns are all along the highways. Modern little villages, the centers of much of the life of Missouri, trading and social centers for the large farm population, and each with its link to the past, such as old buildings that date back more than a century. Missouri's rural districts abound in peaceful scenes of pastoral beauty. Deep in the hill country, the fall season finds whole families working at a variety of interesting and unique tasks, such as gathering the cane for sorghum making. Methods of pressing the cane that were used by the early settlers still survive in many sections of the state. The making of sorghum, or long sweetening, is an important task, for the rich, tawny syrup is a basic food. Lumbering, too, is an important job during Indian summer, the season when people work at many tasks. The Indians, too, worked at many pursuits, worked to fashion articles of sentiment, worked to fashion ornaments of artistic perfection. Their skill and their artistry has influenced generations of workers in handicraft arts. Today, along the roadways, you may still see the results of the Indians' influence. There are many interesting and different sights along the highways and byways. The caves, and there are hundreds of them, have an awesome fascination for visitors. The caverns seem to stretch endlessly into the earth. Some have been explored for lengths of more than 20 miles. Yet no one knows how many unexplored miles lie ahead in the wonder caverns of Missouri. And always there are new and intriguing corridors beyond. And contrasted with nature's rustic handiwork is man's contribution to the life of Missouri. He has made a cultural state and provided abundantly in the field of education. There are schools of many types and sizes. And their fall activities, headlined by football, attract thousands. Yes, Indian summer is a thrilling time of the year. The Indian tracked his game to the forest's edge, stalked his game for food and for clothing, stalked his game for the sport of the field. Yes, he left us the tradition of the hunt. And today, autumn finds the hunter taking to the field, to the fields of autumn, hunting with his dogs for the elusive quail, and experiencing the thrill that comes only to the hunter who has trained his own dogs in the art of a difficult sport. Duck hunting, too, is a favorite Indian summer sport. It's the time of the year when northern snows have driven the birds southward. And the lucky hunter may get his limit of ducks and geese. Then, from the strenuous sports of the field, there are lazy, carefree afternoons to be spent fishing along the riverbanks or whipping the trout streams in the state parks. The renowned fishing waters of Missouri are open throughout the autumn season, and fishing is good. Or perhaps it's just fishing from boats, idling along the riverbanks underneath a balmy autumn sun, enjoying a day of gratifying sport. But the ultimate of all fishing in Missouri is the comfortable, restful float trip. And whether you want to fish or just go along for a pleasant and exciting outing, it's a trip that can last 2 or 3 days, or even a week at a time. Competent guides go ahead with the commissary boat, loaded with equipment and food for the trip. The guides, skilled in river lore, set up your noonday camp, while you float down the broad river, just taking it easy. And at noon, your party comes ashore hungry, and man-sized appetites are satisfied with such delicacies as cornbread and fried chicken, all prepared for you by the guides. After lunch, the float down the river is resumed, with the guides steering the boats to the finest fishing waters. Then at night, when your camp has been prepared on a sandbar, the night is filled with the crackling of campfire logs and the yarns that only a fisherman can spin. At dawn, after a restful night, your party breaks camp and floats through the mists of morning on your way to enjoy another day of Missouri's favorite sport. Yes, in autumn, the smoke of Indian signal fire curls high from distant hills. The brash, hot summer days are filtered through with blue, yet do not die, but linger languidly in mystic haze. The spectrum floods the earth with colors soft and bright, the finest mantle of the year. Wildlife seeks the forest, while aloft the migratory birds trace sky trails near to placid lakes that brim with summer rains. Each pathway leads to welcome solitude. The fields are shimmering with harvest grains, and nature pauses in reflective mood to light a fire of Indian summer smoke before the season bows to winter's yoke. Long since the Indians have departed, yet their legacy of a fading summer to which they have given their name remains in all its wonderment. Indian summer, he has left it all, September, October, November, 3 lavish months that grace the year with a warm, inviting call for you to see Missouri in the fall.